I feel like today's prompt was made for me, and it's all thanks to my friend Christina who gave me the suggestion. Oh my goodness, I'm so very excited for this. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. So excited I'm here because it has been a very busy week or past few days, running here, running there, and I was like, please, out of any top 5 Wednesday video that I don't want to miss filming, it is this week. It is this week. But in case if you're not familiar with top 5 Wednesday, in a nutshell, basically each week I answer a prompt using 5 books, but in this case I do manga, to reflect the said prompt. And today's prompt is Villainess Manga. Yes, we are spotlighting villainesses in manhwa, manga, webtoons, just fiction in general, you name it, we're going to be featuring them. Well, not all of them, but like when it comes to villainesses in fiction. And I'm really excited because my friend Christina gave me the idea. She had written an article, goodness, a month ago, and it was Empress versus Villainess. Which is better? What recommendations does she give that have an Empress in the manga or manhwa, as well as recommendations for villainesses? And I super enjoyed it. And I don't remember if she came right out and said, like, you should do a villainous top 5 Wednesday video, but I know from that conversation that I was like, I want to do a villainous manga because I love your recommendations. And I will leave a link down below to that article. It was great. I think all of the villainous ones that she recommended, except for like maybe 2, I have not read. And I loved all the other ones. It's like, yeah, like they rightfully deserve to be on this list. I actually don't remember if any of mine overlap with hers. I don't think so, except for one, but I'm not going to say that one first because I'm pretty sure everybody knows like this is going to be on this list. Like, how could it not be on this list? For number 1, I am saying the villainess stands the heroes, playing the antagonist to support her faves. Now look, I have never been reincarnated, isekai to an anime game, but I honestly feel like if I ever was, this manga would most reflect me and my actions. I love this manga. It's 3 volumes. It's ongoing from Yen Press. It has been so much fun. For volume 1, I felt so validated. I felt so seen because she's like, I will do whatever needs to be done. If I have to play the villainess just to see my favorites shine, so be it. I will embrace this role. I will do anything that I need to do just so I can see them, just so I can see them shine. And I'm like, girl, yes, I really feel like that will be me. Typically outside of villainesses, when it comes to villains, though I do have a favorite villain top 5 Wednesday video if you're curious about at that time. It has changed, but majority of the list is still the same. But I typically don't have favorite villains though. It's a stretch for me. Favorite villainesses, hands down, yeah, we got that in the bag. But for villains, not so much. So I really related to her in that she was just like, I want to see my favorites. I want to see the heroes. I want to see them shine and be amazing and do all the things because she has so many expressions like this. Like at the beginning, she is totally getting into this role of being the villainess, doing whatever she has to do. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be the bad guy so you can come after me, get angry, do all the things. I don't really care. But she loves them so much. Also, it's really interesting flipping back to the beginning where I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot like when she meets one of her faves and how she is just so unhinged with him, like in a good way because she just loves him so much. I was trying to find a really funny expression of her where she is just flat out fangirling. And that is like the biggest thing when it comes down to it. She is the biggest fangirl for these people, for these characters, even though she's the villainess, even though she's the one that's supposed to be stopping things. And there is a romance that is unfolding. It's been pretty slow burn. And it's interesting because with other romantic villainous stories, I feel like there is no line in the sense where like the villainess, she will maybe eventually start to date or marry that character. I mean, with most of the manga though that I'm featuring, I haven't actually seen that unfold. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I haven't seen that unfold except for one, and that's it. But anyway, I feel like I'm all over the place. I deeply apologize. Apparently I didn't sleep well because I'm rambling about all the things. But yeah, what I was trying to say is I think it's interesting that in this manga specifically, our main girl she draws the line that she can engage with the fave, she can stand the fave, she can do all the things with the fave, except for touch them. She cannot touch them. Even though she starts having feelings for one certain favorite character, she does not cross that line ever. And so it's interesting seeing this be an obstacle in this romance for her, because she genuinely loves this person now. Like, not just as a favorite character, not just standing them, but she genuinely has feelings for him and wants to romantically be with him. But she's like, I can't do this, because she's like, when you stand a character in an Otome game or just stand a character, she's like, that character, that person is everybody's. He or she doesn't just belong to me, they belong to everyone, and therefore I cannot be personal with this person in the sense I cannot touch them because I'm crossing that line of standing. And so it's a really interesting part of the romance. I like how it's very unique for this story alone, because I haven't seen that before, and I'm like, I don't know how I would react in that situation, because I don't really stand anything, I guess, unless we say Hinata. But I'm like, if the chance ever came where I could hug him, forget about not touching him, I'm hugging that guy. I'm hugging him. I don't know, but I really, really enjoy this. Volume 3 I have talked about, where I didn't super love it because there was a little bit of weird stuff that I felt like that took place. I'm like, I can't relate to this at all. But for volumes 1 and 2, deeply, deeply loved. I mean, I still enjoyed volume 3. I still plan to pick up volume 4, I mean, but it was just the only thing I was like, I can't vibe with you, girl, at this. But everything else, for sure, highly recommend. It is a lot of fun, and I super, super enjoyed this manga. For number 2, I'm going to feature The Most Heretical Last Boss Queen from Villainous to Savior. This is a 3-volume manga series from 7 Seas. Unfortunately, the artist was not able to continue the series, so it stopped at volume 3, but I do know that a new series was picked up. I don't know how you would say that. The series continued in Japan, both a new artist starting at the very beginning of the light novels, because this originated or was like adapted from a light novel. Now, I feel like with most Villainous manga, they are very funny. I personally love this. I couldn't get into, what is it, All Routes Lead to Doom. I have not been able to get into that one. My husband watched the anime and he deeply loved it, but I tried the manga and I don't know, I just couldn't do it. And I'm like, I feel like that's one of the most popular manga villainous that we have. I feel like a lot of other villainous manga have similar traits, and that's just really, really funny. And sometimes the female lead can be a little bit airheaded. Now, I know not everybody's going to like that. I typically don't mind too airheaded of villainous heroines, but I need them to be smart. I need them to, like, you can be airheaded, but you better make some good decisions. Don't be dumb. Like, I can't do that. So if you're wanting to read villainous manga, but you're like, I don't want that. I don't want something overly humor. Give me a little bit of humor, but don't make it so funny where it's sort of almost gaggy. Like, no, I don't want that. This manga is it. I love Pride. I have a video about the series of how touching and emotional and just moving these 3 volumes were. Pride is unlike any other villainess I've read before. Unlike other heroines, she is fully embracing her red flag, that she knows how her route is going to end, and she feels that she deserves the doom that is in store for her, not because of herself as a person before she was reincarnated into this story world, but because of the previous Pride and how evil this woman was. And truly, like, she is a villainess that was really evil. Like, you see the evil acts that she has done that lives with the new Pride in this body, and how it really plagues her. It really overshadows any and every decision that she makes. If her life's on the line and she might, die right then and there, she's like, okay, so be it. She is not willing to withhold anything so that her life is not extinguished. And I was just really surprised by that. I got very emotional when reading this, very teary-eyed. I have seen half of the anime. I love the anime. I have not watched all of it because it went past what's in the manga, and I have just not got on the light novel hype train to read what happens next, even though I heard it's so good. And I adore the covers. There are things on the covers that I need answers. I need to know why a certain character looks the way that they do now, and I have to read it. But I would highly recommend this one just because it is more of I wouldn't say a darker story, but it's more sober. There's some humor, yes, but you're not going to find an overwhelming amount. Like, this is not a humorous story. It's not one that I would typically come back and reread, but I have very strong connection and feelings with this manga because of the emotions I felt when I read it. Pride is such an incredible heroine. I really, really love her and admire that she is willing to make the decisions that she is for the sake of other people, for the very sake of her kingdom. She literally is willing to lay down her life for the happiness of the people around her and for the happiness of her countrymen, so that they can genuinely live a life that is not touched by any evil that the previous Pride did when she was an actual villainess. So I would highly recommend this. It's not not that much of a commitment since it's only 3 volumes, and it did, yes, you know that there's more to the story at the end of volume 3, but it doesn't end on a cliffhanger where you're like, this is horrible, I'll never know how it ended. It doesn't end like that. It wraps up the story arc, and it definitely leaves you wanting more, but not in the sense of like, I don't feel satisfied with how this ended. Hopefully that makes sense. So good, and I honestly definitely do need to come back and reread it because of how much I super enjoyed reading this. For number 3, I definitely need to come back and reread this, and that is I'm the Villainess, so I'm Taming the Final Boss. Oh my goodness, I binge read this hardcore. It's technically 4 volumes, but we have not gotten the 4th volume yet from Yen Press, so it's 3 volumes completed. Like, I guess technically, yeah, 3 volumes completed for the manga, and then volume 4 is like a series of short stories that just take place, I guess, afterwards in just different times, I guess. But I love this. I remember very vividly how fast I read this series. I read volume 1, absolutely loved it, went back, reread it, and then I read volume 2, and I read it so quickly. I was reading in my car, came home, did absolutely nothing else. I was like, okay, we gotta eat later. I was like, I'm gonna sit at this dining room table and I'm gonna read this. Please do not bother me. So when I told my kids and my husband, I read it so fast and I was completely speechless of how it ended. I was like, this is a massive cliffhanger. I was like, forget dinner. I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna read volume 3. And I think I read volume 3 in like under 30 minutes, which is very, very fast for me. I don't typically ever do that unless I am like in the zone of manga reading and can tune out everything, stomach hunger, stomach rumbling, my kids playing, people talking, like none of that. All of it, I just pushed it aside when I read volume 3, which hopefully doesn't sound really bad. I have not quite done that the same since I read this. And I remember when I read it, I do have a review up on this channel if you're curious about it. I loved it. I have read it 3 or 4 times since I first read the series, but I haven't read it this year. I'm like, it's been a few months since we have actually sat down from start to finish and read it. This series has a lot of humor, but I feel like our main girl, Aline, if I'm saying her name right, she has so much, I don't think wittiness is the right word. I don't think spunk is the right word either, but I love how, yes, she can be really funny, but she is very self-driven. She's a very determined and passionate person, and I deeply enjoyed seeing how she knows that she's the villainess in this Otome game, in this world, and she's like, you know what? I'm not putting up with this. If I'm supposed to die in a variety of ways from the villain, I'm just gonna go marry the Demon King, who is the villain, and I'll avoid ever dying in this world because then I'll be married to the person who was supposed to take me out. He's not very convinced though. He's not very convinced. Claude is not. And Claude is so handsome. Oh my gosh. I love the characters in this manga. But sorry, I was trying to find a picture or an art here page of Mr. Claude. I guess we do this one right here. But I love how, yeah, she just took matters into her own hands, and it really has a really great business aspect to the story where she's making her own business because her father's like, if you don't get engaged, because she's been dumped, her fiance dumps her for the heroin, and she's like, okay, that's fine. If that's what you want to do. And he is in denial. This man is in denial. Like, just let her go, buddy. Go be happy with your heroin and call it a day. But he just cannot be satisfied. So she goes, she starts a business, and she works with the Demon King, with Claude, to make changes for his people, as well as like encouraging interactions between them so there's not so much hostility. And the ending was so satisfying. It was so engaging and so wonderful in every single way. I really, really love this manga, and I'm just thinking about it and how long it's been. And even just flipping through this first volume, I love the characters so much. Everyone's a lot of fun, and it's just nice. It's just nice. It's one of the earlier Villainous manga that I think I checked out because I remember it being Barnes and Nobles, and I don't know why I was really hesitant to pick this up. I was like, let me just try it. Let me just try it and see how this goes. I know the light novels are still ongoing. I've thought about checking them out as well. I have not watched all of the anime of this one either because it went past what was in the manga, and I'm always just like, if I'm going to start a series, I'd rather read it than watch it. At least when it comes to shoujo. Shonen, I'm like, okay, I don't mind because I don't really read a lot of shonen, at least battle shonen, which I really enjoy watching anime-wise. But when it comes to shoujo, I rather read it first and then go watch the anime. But I really enjoyed what I had watched, and it was a really faithful adaptation. I really love the twist in this manga because I will say, and I'll end it there, is our main girl's not the only one who knows that she's been isekai'd, reincarnated into this world. There's somebody else that does. So that's all I will say. So good. Highly recommend this one as well. For number 4, you guys knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. mean, you knew Penelope had to be on this list of villains are destined to die. It's the only manhwa I'm featuring today. I've love this. It's present. It ain't past. I love this series so much. I've talked about it numerous times. This is my favorite villainous story I've ever read. I did talk about another top 5 Wednesday video of manga everyone should read at least once, and I did like different genres, so to speak, or like I didn't do exact manga, but this one I did. I said if you need a villainous manga, this is the one, or manhwa, this is a story you need to check out. I just love it. I love it so much, and I get so upset when people hate on Penelope, like on Twitter/X. Like, do not hate her. Do not hate her. Like, if you're gonna hate anybody, go hate some of the male leads in this story, but you don't hate on our best girl, because she is best girl. Absolutely adore her. Not saying she can't do any wrong, because there have been decisions she's made that I'm like Penelope girl, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with this. I don't necessarily agree with taking place because of what you did, but I get why you did what you did. I am always cheering for her success, always rooting for her success. I feel like this is a very unique story. Yes, it has some of the tropes that other villainous stories have, but I would definitely recommend checking out that video. I featured Penelope at the end of it, so if you're curious of why I feel like this is the best villainous story that's out there, I love all of the manga that I'm featuring today, but Penelope, I feel that she slays. She's number one. She is the top. There's just nothing that can exceed her that I've ever read. Deeply enjoy the story. All of the male leads are pretty unhinged, and they're all very, very different, and I'm always curious to see what's going to happen. I love it. It's one of the few titles that I have really thought about going ahead and reading the novel online, since it's available legally at tapas.com, but I know me. I'm going to catch up. I'm going to get to the part where, you can read like a certain amount for free, and then you have to wait to read the next chapter for free. And I'm like, I'm not going to want to wait. I'm going to want to spend the money to go continue reading. So I've been hesitant for that matter, or for that reason, but I adore this series. I love it so much. Highly recommend if you are looking for a very smart and witty, snarky at times heroine. This story is it, and the art is stunning. Penelope is gorgeous. She's stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. All of the words that just mean you're gorgeous, honey. You're gorgeous. I love her so much. She's amazing. I can definitely say if I was in this manga, or manhwa, excuse me, I would stan her. I would stan her very, very hard. The guys, I don't know. I know I'm Team Callisto, but in the beginning, he terrified me, and I really like, again, how different all of our guys are. So go check out that video if you want to know why I feel like this is the best. I have definitely rambled about this manhwa numerous times, so that's all I will say, but it's so good. Go read it. I love it. For number 5, I am super stoked to feature this manga because I actually have the review coming out this upcoming Friday, and that is The Villainess's Guide to Not Falling in Love. Yes, friends, I have not forgotten about that poll that you guys did, I think it's 2 weeks ago almost now. I am going to have the review, the first impression, coming Friday, and I will just say I love this. I won't talk too much about it because if you want full thoughts but not spoiler, check out that review that's coming. This blew me away. It swept me away. I loved every single moment of this. It was fantastic. I think this one stands out in being different from other villainous manga, is that our main girl is a 30-year-old woman who is reincarnated into the body of this villainess, into this woman who is, I think, like 16, I believe, or 17. I think she's 16 because she's a second year, but she's reincarnated her. She has no experience with romance, and I really loved her reactions to the characters that she is reincarnated to her favorite anime game. She's played it numerous times, and so there's things that were in the game that are not in real life now, and so she is thriving in that sense. But like all villainesses, she knows she has a red flag. She knows that, like, oh gosh, I'm not going to be alive for like another year once the heroine comes on the scene, and blah 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 blah. All those things unfold. We know the story here. We know the beats of the story, so to speak, the beats. But I really love seeing her, just like one of the characters didn't have a voice in the game, and she's like, oh my goodness, his voice is so wonderful. She's like, I'm hearing him speak. I really loved it. Like, she had these fangirl moments, but it was interesting because while she knows that this was a game, she's treating it like it's real life. She's like, there's no do-overs in this. This is real. These are real emotions. These are real feelings that I'm having right now. And she's got to make the decision, is she going to treat this like the game, or is she going to change the story for the sake of helping other people, just changing things that, that's the biggest one, of helping other people to keep them safe. But what is she going to do? And so I like that twist on this of how she's not just treating these people like they're just characters in a game, but she's treating them like they have real feelings and they're real people because to her they are, and not because she just played their story in an otome game, you know, in her previous life. So that has been very interesting, very refreshing. The art is incredible. It is mind-blowing, and I will just say I already have Volume 2 pre-ordered. I pre-ordered it, I believe, yesterday or Sunday, actually, Sunday night, and I am on this. I'm on this hype train. I am like, thank you, Square Enix, for publishing this, because it was good. It was so good. And yeah, those serpents, whew, they were quite interesting. So it's amazing. I would highly recommend it. I cannot wait to gush about this. I have already sort of skim read it again since I read it the first time and loved it just as much. It is truly amazing, and I am stoked for that review, so stay tuned. For my honorable mention, I'm really excited for this one. I don't actually have this manga anymore, but it is, hopefully I get this right, I was reincarnated as the villainess in an otome game, but the boys love me anyway. That's such a long title. It was really interesting looking this up because I need one more villainous manga, because I had, like, you know, Seven Time Loop supposedly is a villainous manga. I don't feel like it is. Not So, Wicked Stepmom could have counted, but I didn't feel like that truly was a villainous manga in the sense that I wanted. And I had like Villainous Level 99, which I did enjoy. I mean, I do have a review up on this channel somewhere, but I was like, well, that's not necessarily one of my favorite villainous mangas. So when I was going back and looking at what I read, I found this one and I was like, you know what, let's feature it today, because I did not know this was the very first villainous manga that I ever read. And it was very impactful on me. And it might be like, well, Laura, if it was really impactful on you, and I did really, really love Volume 1. It was in like my top 10 favorite reads of, I don't think it was last year, maybe the year before that, but loved Volume 1 and 2, read Volume 3, and I decided not to keep it in my collection anymore. And that's just because I think this series went a different route than I expected. So like all the other ones, Mistia, our main girl, is reincarnated to this otome game. I think it's a dating love sim actually, but she's reincarnated as a villainess and she knows what's supposed to happen to her. And so she's like, I'm just gonna avoid everybody, all of these guys, but literally all of the love interests end up falling in love with her. That causes a lot of problems because she's not able to get away from them, and she ends up being or is engaged to one of the characters who is a prince. She's got another guy who's like her childhood best friend kind of thing. Yeah, things are just not unfolding like she expected. I loved Mistia. I related so much to her in the sense of how she acts, of how she helps other people, because she realizes she's in this dating otome game, but she also knows like if she doesn't step in and cause something to change, somebody is going to get severely injured. And so she steps in. That was like her, I guess you could say, like her personality of wanting to help other people, sort of similar to Pride, of not being afraid to put her life on the line. She's so cared for and so loved, not just by these guys, but also by her family, which was really, really nice to see, because I feel like sometimes you don't always see the family of like the villainous family. And if you do see them, they're not treated well. But Mistia, her family adored her and loved her very deeply. So I loved the first two volumes. I thought they were amazing. It was one of the greatest ways to get into the villainous manga, and I will forever be thankful for this series and that I read it, because I would have never, I won't say never, I may have never discovered villainous manga for a really long time otherwise, or be as hooked on it as I am now, because I know a lot of people are really upset that like we keep getting villainous license announcements. Guys, I am thriving. I am thriving. I am loving it. Give me more, guys. Give me more. I'm all here for it. But going back to the villainous otome game, I decided to drop it because Volume 3 was so unhinged. Not the story itself. The storytelling was great. The characters. It was like everything I loved about the characters in the first two volumes. They're like, you know what? Forget that. Like everybody's too nice. Let's make these guys have psychopathic boyfriend syndrome where they are just raising all of the red flags, where you're super concerned for Mistia and you're like, Mistia, you need to leave these men alone because these men are scary. Even the guy that I was hardcore shipping and was like on the hype train for him and who I felt was the sweetest and kindest out of all of them, he just went like on a whole other train. And I'm like, what just happened to you, dude? I'm like, I can't get behind this. I'm like, I can't get behind you, what you're doing. Like, dude, you're playing out stalking Mistia at this point. So I think if you are looking for a villainous manga that starts out really sweet, has some good storytelling and some depth to the characters, and you're like, okay, I'm vibing with this, and then you're like, you know what? I want something unhinged. I need everybody to change and not be super sweet except for our lead. This series is it. I have heard that the guys just sort of get worse worse. They get more unhinged as it goes on, and I have a few friends who are absolutely loving the series for that, and I am so happy for them. Unfortunately, that was not for me, and that's why I ultimately don't have it in my collection anymore, because I was just absolutely crushed that my favorite characters had changed so immensely, and I was just like, Mistia, please get out. Please get out of this situation and be okay, because you're so sweet, and these guys were super sweet too, but they're not acting super sweet at all anymore. So that would be my honorable mention for today, especially since it felt important to me because it was the first Villainous manga that I ever tried. But I would love to hear from you, friends. Do you read Villainous manga? Do you like Villainous manga? What are some Villainous manga recommendations that you have? I think her name is Queen Beanie. She has been recommending this manga to me. I'll put it right here. I'm sort of hoping I could try it because I really do love trying new Villainous manga. I don't care how they all sound the same. They all have something different about each and every one. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So let me know. Have you read any of these recommendations? And do you read Villainous manga? I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!